All right, and here we are for class 2 of Courageous Heart Writing, the editing and publishing course. And so, August 17, 2020, and let's get started. I'm going to share my screen, and we will dive right in. So this is for editing and publishing to bring your story to life. Copyright, and here's what we're going to cover tonight. We're not going to cover the 5-week goal setting. We're going to take a look at your goals from last week and then the publishing how-tos. I'm going to give you a primer tonight. Is it the be-all and the end-all for everything you need to know about publishing an ebook? Chances are it's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be enough so that you could really do it. Okay, so and or you'll know which questions to ask. So that's my goal with the information I present to you. Alrighty, you know, we'd need more than 2 hours to do 100% comprehensive. Hay House Balboa Press, they run like a week-long workshop, and then they have a year-long program. So, all right, but you're gonna get enough to get you started. We will do the Writing Hero Love support seat and then tapping if we need it, and take a look at your next inspired actions for the goals. So, oh, let me back up 1 second here. So remember this writing cycle? I introduced this last time. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So the cycle has you writing your stories or your piece, then you editing, submitting it for publication or to yourself, actually doing the publishing, and then the sales and marketing. But I've said your sales and marketing actually kind of needs to flow into actually even the writing. And it's not a step one linear, it is a cycle. So this is the writing cycle. So here's the deal. When you start thinking about publishing, think about your brand. And it's like, why would I think about this so early in the game? Are you curious? Does it make you wonder? Or is it obvious?
I'm not sure what you mean by your brand.
Right. Okay, good. So here's the thing. Your brand, you're going to be an author, you know, like you're a writer when you write, you're an author when you become published. Mm-hmm. So if you want to write more than one book, even with one book, you're going to establish a brand. You're going to establish a name for yourself. Okay. And by the way, this isn't to scare you folks. I'm just going to give you information tonight. You could use it in the next month. You could use it 10 years from now. You may never use it. That's totally up to you. All right. But this is just information. So the brand is, what does your book represent? And most people confuse branding with marketing. You know, to sell books, you want to market. But who are you going to be as a brand? As the Maria Morales brand, for instance. Or it could be, Maria, your brand could be, you know, Loon Books for Fun, right? Or learnaboutloons.com. Like your brand could end up being something like that. So it could be more than just who you are as a writer, as an author. And when we talk branding, the readers really define it, not you. So Coca-Cola, what does Coca-Cola stand for?
Soda.
Delicious sugary beverage that I'm completely addicted to.
But refreshment, right? How's about, how long has it been in business?
Since like 1890.
Yeah, exactly. So longevity, right? Long-standing tradition. When it first came out, it was named Coca-Cola, Coca for cocaine, and actually had cocaine in it. So it was like the refreshing pick me up beverage, right? Seriously, they took the cocaine out, obviously, but it's still known for that high sugar content. Yeah. But if you saw the Coca-Cola red and white logo, I'm not going to go, you know, we could spend all night just on branding. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. But if you think of the Tiffany's blue box, or if you think of a blue box for jewelry, you think of Tiffany,
Tiffany. Yeah.
right? There was a branding research study done, and it was pretty much the same bracelet. Could be $16.99 at Walmart and $400 at Tiffany's in the blue box, because of the quality, because of the status, right? The Nike swish. So brands are defined by books, the readers, and or the consumers. BMW, Saab, right? The Saab automotive brand or Volvo, that's another one, known for reliability, like high quality type thing. Okay. So when you think about your books, and this goes for everyone, in the values, who is your brand? What does your brand represent for values? Education, intrigue, personal development, right? That romance is entertainment, okay? The young adult, definitely entertainment. But what does your brand stand for? Is it wholesome? Is it sexy? Is it mysterious? Is it honest? Yes.
I just want to know, like, nature preservation, conservation, would that be a brand? Or
that's part of it. That's what you stand for, sure. And then your mission, your brand stands for the preservation, the conservation. So mission, values and mission can kind of get a little tied up in there.
mm-hmm.
But you'd be standing for truth, the truth of education, right? The truth of what the status of loons is, right? The passion to save them, perhaps. Okay. And then the vision is, why does your brand even exist? The vision is to entertain romance readers, right? To enlighten, to educate, to uplift, to actually save the loons. When you get to the bottom line, Maria, like yours is like, I want to help save loons worldwide
Mm-hmm.
from going extinct.
Yeah.
Okay. So the vision could be, every child reads my book about loons. The mission is to save the loon population from extinction. So is this making sense, folks?
Yes.
Yeah, Nick, you too?
Yep.
Good. All right, here's the deal, and I just want to say this. I can only see like 3 of you on the screen at one time. I can't see everyone at once. So sometimes it's like I don't have visuals on all of you. Okay, and again, some of this is a little bit advanced stuff, so you don't need to nail this down today or tomorrow. Do not get yourself so stuck and overwhelmed that you're not like, oh my God, I can't finish my book because I don't know what this stuff is. It's just information, but I'm planting the seed so that as you finish your writing and editing and think about submitting, this becomes part of your writing journey, because we're still talking about the hero's journey for writers, in a sense. And then you'll have a little more familiarity with it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then whether you're on Facebook and or your website, your social media, Pinterest or Instagrams, they will reflect your brand. And, the basics, your logo, your fonts, they're all part of your style, your personality, your photographs, your images. And then there's so much more to it. But that's just like I said, this is really high level, just a primer, just to get you going. And you might feel like you put all this time and effort into figuring it out, and then it will evolve over time. So it's not going to be set in stone. I'm changing my brand even as we speak. And it's like, how many iterations has that gone through? Okay. So it's still evolving. All right. But the readers, you think about the writers. Think about the authors you love and the authors you love to hate. They have their own personality styles, right?
Yeah.
And when you think of them, and if you go to their websites or you see their Facebook pages, there's going to be a consistency across all those platforms.
Yeah.
Right? So, Chrissy, you're writing the romance novel.
Yeah.
It's going to be about romance. If you threw a recipe book in there, it would be like, what? It's disjointed.
Recipe for love.
Ah, that's
There you go. Yeah, and then how are they cooking in the kitchen?
I mean, that's coming up. Yeah, that's got to happen.
Yeah. It's like, woo, Stevie in the kitchen. Okay. Oh, we're going off on a tangent. But do you get what I mean with that? You know, Dawn, you're starting out with the the memoir Personal Transformation, right? And so if you all of a sudden like wrote a book on how to hang curtains using power tools,
Yeah.
right? It's like you'd attract a different readership, is what I'm saying. Unless you want to tie it into romance, then that's a whole other story. Okay. Have I made my point, or are we just getting silly?
No.
You've absolutely made your point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So think about what your expectations are. So this is the other thing. When you go to publish, and especially to sell your book. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I've been working really hard and it's showing. Think about the expectations you have and who you are as not as a character in your book, but what's your makeup, right? Do you have an entrepreneurial spirit? What's your work ethic? Your time management? What's your schedule flexibility look like? Do you have self-directed accountability, or you need a coach for that? And the reason I'm laughing is because this book launch is coming out tomorrow for me, and I don't have my sales page set up. I don't have my email funnel set up. I had the brilliant thought of, promoting the book and offering a coaching course that goes along with it. I got nothing set up. So that's why I'm laughing at myself. So there are pitfalls to being an entrepreneur when even though you're a writer, you're an author. Okay. I have the opportunity to buy my ebooks from Amazon Kindle at the author price and then sell them at a retail price. And I'm trying to figure out how many books to sell, because what I don't want is to order up like 100 books and have them sitting around in a box and then finally get thrown out, 10 years from now. If I pay money for my author books, I want to be able to market them and sell them and get my money back and make a profit, right? So you need to look into yourself. This is why it's important to figure out who you are. What is your character made up of? What's your management style? Because you may need assistance with different aspects of this, okay? So now granted, we have fewer opportunities for sponsorship and conferences and booths and tables, and because of the pandemic, but that would require having a team. There's a management style to hiring people to work on website and graphic designs and your marketing funnels and all that stuff. So you'd have to figure that out. So consider your level of involvement and how much effort you want to put in on one hand, and what your expectations and goals are on the other, okay? It is possible to make money being an author and publishing books, but it takes effort. So, you got to look into all of this, right? Otherwise, like I said, I'll end up with, cartons of books that collect dust or sit in the trunk of the car. Okay. Part of your character development, the personal development, is what's your comfort level with delegation? Can you hand off draft emails for your campaign and hire a person and say, go finish them off? Can you trust that? Or do you have to have such control that you actually block the process from happening? Guess who's blocked the process from happening? Because I didn't hire anybody. Don't do as I say, don't do as I do, do as I say. Okay. So all of this is personal development and it can be learned. It doesn't mean you have to stop yourself, but these are aspects to, again, that tail end of publishing. And it's out there. None of you are ready for it today. This is what's in your future. Should you choose to accept it. All right. Think about your long-term vision for the book. You know, it's a snowball. It builds up over time as your exposure, as your visibility, as your readership grows, versus a short-term overnight success. Do I expect the Oprah show to call me tomorrow afternoon and go, Denise, we heard your your Facebook Live and read your chapter and show up on the show? I would love it if they did. But do I really expect that? Realistically, the answer is no. Would I love to have that happen? Law of attraction? Oh, yeah. Would I be ready for it tomorrow? Actually, I wouldn't be ready for it tomorrow. I don't have my campaign set up. Right? You got to be ready for some of this.
Yeah.
And it is a numbers game. It's a numbers game for your visibility, how many readers you can attract to your website or Facebook, your followers. Build your email list as a numbers game. How many people open the email? How many people would click through? How many people buy it? Does the book hit the Amazon bestseller? And can I brag? Our book hit #1 on Amazon as an Amazon bestseller in 4 categories.
Yay.
And tomorrow's the official launch date. So we're launching with bestseller status.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
You need to be super proud of that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am. And there's strategies behind it. Thank God. So okay, and then I'll tell you more about that later. We're going to pin that right there. Okay, any comments or questions to this point? Because I do not want to overwhelm you. I'm just giving you info.
I taught myself a lot of that stuff when I went around the first time around with my website and everything. And let me say that it takes hours to learn how to set up like all that stuff that I didn't know how to do, like the email campaigns and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it would be so nice to be able to hire someone to do it for you. So it's a lot of learning and process and a lot of mistakes can happen. But at the same time, it's nice to know how the process works. So when you do become more successful and you're able to afford to pay someone to do it, it's actually good to know how to do it all, because you wouldn't want to be totally ignorant of all that stuff. So
that's a really
Yeah.
good point, because then
Yeah.
you're an educated consumer being the business manager.
Yeah.
Being the CEO of your company, even if you're the one person in your company, you
Yeah.
still have to put a hat on that says, I'm the CEO.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to be the chief financial officer, the operations, the sales, the marketing, the promotion, right? Customer service. I'm going to order up 50 to 100 books. They're going to be drop shipped to my house. I will set up that sales page on my website. People will click the button buy, and then guess who's in charge of like shipping them out, right? So
Yeah.
there's pricing strategies. We'll get to that. So yes, you definitely a great point, Chrissy. The more you know, the more educated hiring you can do. However, there's a balancing act between how much you keep doing yourself, and at some point there's a tipping point where you're impeding your progress versus letting it flow.
Oh yeah, because then you're focusing on all that stuff and you're not writing. Because I was fooling around trying to do my website and figuring out how that works, and
Yep, very true. Okay, any other comments? Otherwise, I'm moving along. Maria, does this explain it for you better? Are you getting the gist of this conversation?
Yes.
All right, great. Nick, how you doing with it?
I'm good.
Okay, and Dawn, I don't know if she's still around.
Oh yeah. My
Okay.
daughter just came in and was waving at the screen. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's good. Again, I can only see like 3 of you and myself.
Oh.
I'm sorry. So, okay. All right, moving on. So this ties in with it. you may need a team at some point. What is your comfort? Chrissy, you were just talking about this. What's your skill with technology versus hiring somebody?
Yeah.
Hiring people for editing, for graphic design, for illustrations, perhaps, for the website support, for a help desk. Now, some software has a help function built in, but otherwise, shipping, I just talked about that, the launch, a funnel manager. Okay, so here's the rule of thumb that I like to think about. Spend time on your strengths, the writing. Spend money on resources. If you're struggling, and my brain is wired really high on the right side creative and only 15% on the math. Okay. I've tested on the SAT and the GRE, and I'm in the top 15% of the population over here. But I'm freaking in the bottom 15% on some of my math skills, which is really, it causes problems sometimes, and it's difficult. I need to hire out for some of those tasks. I have a bookkeeper and a tax preparer. I am not spending, and it still takes me freaking hours to prepare for them. But I would spend the year trying to prepare those. So hire to your weaknesses, and then you spend time on the creative, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you hire? Where do you find people to hire? So here's a few websites right off the bat. Fiverr.com, Upwork.com. Upwork used to be Elance. Upwork bought them. Readsy is in the UK for editors and such. Whether you want to go international or keep it US, that's up to you. There's this aceseditors.org. Now listen, I checked this out, and they do have a job bank, and they do have editors for hire. But what that website struck me as is more of a program for getting certified in their method of copywriting. So I will caution you with that. Okay. And then the EFA.org might be the same sort of thing. So when you go to these websites, really do your research for, are you really hiring a well-qualified editor, or is the website mostly in the business of people paying them for a program, they're making their money, and then they're saying, oh yeah, you can hire my people. So again, quality of the qualifications. Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
Good. I would actually also suggest building your network of published authors. Use the New Hampshire Writers Project as you get more involved in writing. There's writersdigest.com. That is reputable. And so as you build your network, I'm going to interject here, even the librarians at like the Derry Public Library, they know local authors who have been published. So as you build your network, then you want to really connect up to other published authors, other illustrators, and then get those word of mouth referrals. So that's a really good way to do it versus a Google search. Although Fiverr and Upwork, most of the time, people have really good results with them.
Denise, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
This is just in the past year. And again, this is only a few individuals that I've come across.
Yep.
But in trying to do some networking, I'm seeing, and obviously, with some people, they don't want to give you all of their resources, but I'm seeing that there's a lot of people who are very close-lipped about things. They're very, oh, well, you should look here for that. And maybe you can find an editor that way. So you say to them, oh, well, I did. I looked on Fiverr and I found someone. And then they're quick to say to you, oh, I would never go there. And then you say, oh, well, do you know any people that can help me? And then you get the vague passive aggressive, like, well, I mean, I feel it's almost like the resources are sacred and people aren't, and again, maybe it's just the circle that I've met up with. People aren't as willing to network with you and to share resources as I had hoped they would be.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple different angles on that, all right? So the coach in me thinks it's the people you're meeting. So from a law of attraction standpoint, it's your vibration. And the more transformational work we do with you, the more you will attract different people into your life.
I mean, because when I do ask people, I do ask them outright, you know, like, hey,
Yep.
I'm interested. I
Yep.
would love to know how
Yeah.
it started. And I mean, I'm not coming to them saying like, I have this story I wrote and it's terrible, but I'd love to have someone read it. I mean, nothing like that. But I feel like I am very much seeking as a novice, and I'm hitting a lot of roadblocks with that. And again, it's just been with a few people, but that has been my experience so far, and it has been a little bit of a letdown.
It's a letdown. It's disappointing. It's off-putting, and that's tapping. That's all stuff you tap on. Okay. Because we want to clear that up out of your vibration to open up the possibilities for you to attract the right opportunities.
Okay.
That certainly can be changed. Does that make sense on the coaching, the tapping angle?
It does. And I just actually wanted to mention to you too, the people that I've networked with are not writing in the same genre that I'm in. So that
yeah.
But
and so here's the other thing I do want to say. When people get really secure in themselves, they're willing to share. So
okay.
and it's the same thing with coaching in this local area. I've met coaches and there's such a, it's a letdown. It's such a competitive, or there's this rivalry. It's just yucky feeling, real technical term. But it's like, oh, come on, right? They're not on my level. I don't mean that from an arrogant standpoint, but they're not at my level. They're in the scarcity thinking. I'm in the abundance thinking thought. Mindset. Mindset's a better word. I'm more about cooperation, collaboration, than it's co-petition instead of competition.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, Dawn, you will develop your tribe of people, your groups. And the people that don't resonate or don't gel, you just don't want, they're just like, don't waste your time and energy on them.
Yeah. I just didn't know if, just from your standpoint as someone who's quite familiar with this, if there was kind of an undercurrent in some circles of kind of, again, not wanting the competition, not wanting to give away your great secrets. I have a great editor I'm working with. I don't want Dawn Lewis to ever touch them or find out about who they are. It's very strange.
It's very strange, but that's what people kind of weird, limited mindset. The people that, I love when I was in Creative Women's Writers Group, there were people that were open and shared. There were some people who were so nasty. And then there were people in the middle. I have a writing buddy who I met there, and I went to her house for 2 to 3 years every Sunday night, or most Sunday nights, almost every. I ended up babysitting her kids when they went to Italy, and part of the family almost type deal. So I'm going to go painting with her like next week at her beach house in Salisbury. So she's, we're simpatico in the heart. Like, that's a really close, treasured friendship. The people who are scarcity minded, it's whether it's genre or they're just closed. It's just like, no, you know what? That's not what it's about. Truly, if there's the New Hampshire Writers Project, you'll probably meet all kinds, but my experience was that people were forthcoming. The Derry Author Fest, when that was held, I want to say 2016 for the first time. I was a workshop leader. The agents came, the editors came, the illustrators came, the published book authors came, and then the general public, Joe Q public came, right? Those business contacts, industry contacts were so open. I mentioned the Creative Women Writers. I'm like, could I book them for a talk? They're like, call me up. I want to know, what are you working on for your writing? Oh my God, that's really great. So Dawn, it's just a matter of connecting up. And I will say this, the more confidence that you all have in your book projects, the way you present yourself obviously makes an impression on people, and they will respect you more if you're respecting your writing more.
Thank you. So again, sorry to take up some of your time there, but I knew you had some more wisdom I could get from you.
And did that help everyone else out also? I think it's an important discussion to have.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. Just keep, working your networks, like meetups.com, the New Hampshire Writer Project. So there's ways to find your peeps, your tribe. All right. Okay. And so this goes into marketing. So again, for your audience, we're talking who is your perfect reader? Who is your avatar? So you all have a sense of this already. What's the age group? What's the gender? In some cases, depending on what you're writing, is there an income level to it? Okay. Does your reader have special interest? Common themes, hobbies. Okay. Because part of your marketing will also be, who's the competing authors and/or I'm going to use Christy's story, toilet paper in the COVID aisle.
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking necessarily the yachting set down at Newport, Rhode Island. We're talking about regular guy and gal on the street. So do you see how, and then your languaging on your Facebook post, on your marketing, on your videos is going to speak to the everyday guy or gal.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you're looking even at your competing authors in your genre, right? So know what your genre is, which you all do. And then think about, do they like reading print or are they digital? The younger folks in general, the millennials, the Gen Xers, Gen Y, whatever, they're on the digital devices. They're on the smartphones, which are now like this big, right? In general, older folks kind of like the print volumes, or think about large print, although Kindle has the settings so you can make your Kindle large print, right? But that's still important for you to know as far as marketing your books, because you're trying to get your book idea in front of eyeballs, in front of people's hearts and minds and heads, so that they buy. If you're trying to sell them, okay. Some folks will do the print on demand from Amazon, the paperback covers, right? Some people want the hardcover so they can highlight the heck out of it. I do read the Kindle, but I mean, like for my, if you will, workbooks, the coaching stuff, I love my highlighter. Okay. And then there's the hybrids. So knowing your avatar, knowing your perfect reader, your tribe, that can go a long way to having successful sales. And it's all about the numbers, the readership numbers. For your competing author, who's the leader in your field? So Nick, we've mentioned Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling over and over again, right? I mean, your story just plays out. I was telling somebody about your story, and it's like, God, it's a Hollywood movie. I mean, it's like I can picture you having a blockbuster hit with that, because it's just laid out so beautifully, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So getting your visibility, getting your numbers, ultimately will lead to your sales, and it leads to you getting published, because the publishing houses, if you're not self-publishing, if you self-publish on Amazon, nobody can know about your book, and you just publish on Amazon. But for you to get an indie publisher, or especially a brick and mortar traditional publisher, numbers count. All right. Think about your marketing, your level of involvement or effort. How much time do you have to devote to it? Will you be hiring a social media manager? They can cost thousands of dollars, and not all of them are as good as others. You can waste hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on Facebook ad campaigns. And if it's not done correctly, and Facebook keeps changing the dang algorithms, right? Google Posts are another way, but they change the algorithms. The problem with Facebook is Facebook owns your content. So I'm going to throw this in here. You really do want to have your own website and drive traffic. Use Facebook, but drive traffic to the website. Collect the people's names and information and build your email list that you own in a separate software. That's the money's in the list. Okay. And then Amazon's a great tool. You know, some readers only go to Amazon for your book, in which case Facebook or the website doesn't much even matter, but because you can build an author profile. Okay, so that's, and this is just a smidgen. I'm giving you a taste. These are appetizers about these topics. Okay, so I did just allude to the type of publisher. So is it distribution only, meaning like an Amazon Kindle, right? Or is it full service publishing, which would be brick and mortar? Okay, you have different levels of responsibility with that, but overall your responsibilities are for editing and proofreading so that you are submitting a clean copy, high quality. All right. It killed me today after I did my live reading on Facebook. I realized there were still mistakes in that manuscript that I had submitted to Liz. And she's going to fix it tonight because tomorrow's the launch. That is the beauty of using Amazon. She can do a version upgrade. And I went through that like 6 times. I'm not kidding you. But you know, you get that blinded over.
Yeah.
And hearing it out loud. Remember I've said back in the other courses, read it out loud and you will hear that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. She was very gracious about it. So, and not for nothing, I assume this. Oh, all right. I'm going to interject this. If you're ever in a book collaboration, she's also working with like 25 writers at the same time to become authors. I had submitted my probably 3rd or 4th version on July 13th. She never picked it up. So that one never even made it in the book. So this morning when I flagged that at 5 in the morning, I went, yeah, you didn't. And then this afternoon, it's like, oh my God, it still needs some correction. She's like, that's fine. Just get it to me. We'll make it happen. So, okay. But that's a level of effort. That's time management. That's, you know, reacting to it. Okay. When you're publishing, depending on who you choose as a publisher, it will be free to use like Amazon is, except for Amazon's royalties. I'll get to that. It could be low cost. Okay. It could be a one-time fee or percentage of sales. So in other words, brick and mortar publishers, they will take a percentage of your sales for every single book you sell, right? Amazon will take a 30% royalty off of every book you sell. If the book's $9.99 or less, you earn the 70%, at least in the US. You'd have to check the policies for overseas sales, okay? If you go with an indie house, an independent, you know, Piscataqua Press, Balboa out of Hay House, they'll do like a one-time fee. You could buy a publishing package, $1,500, $3,000, $5,000. There's going to be different levels of service, different levels of support, different number of books that you're actually purchasing. But they might not take any royalties, give you royalties or take any royalties. You're just, that's your investment, and then boom, you've got your books. Okay. Questions to this point? All right, so then the next topic is if you're publishing what's called at will and non-exclusive. So, as on Amazon, you can upload your book, your manuscript at any time, or you could remove it at any time, and that will impact your sales availability, right? You can make version updates at any time. That's what Liz is doing with my story. So she already has a soft cover in her hot little hands because it was pre-printed. So here she is putting a new version in. So it's a new version update. right? So her paperback won't even be current with my newly edited manuscript. Maybe hers will become a collector copy. Okay, but that's the beauty of it. Now think about, contrast that with, say, a Random House publisher, traditional brick and mortar. They'll do a print run of what, 10,000 copies at a time, 50,000 copies at a time. If there's a typo, it's in there until the next printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and working with a traditional publisher like that, you're not going to be able to go, whoop, change my mind, pull it down, want to change the cover, right? Want to change the description of the synopsis, want to change the price. You have total price flexibility with an Amazon self-publishing. Sometimes with indie publishing, you'd have to read the contract details. You're going to be super constrained with traditional brick and mortar. Okay. That's the case where, you know, if there was another print run, you could probably get price changes, cover changes, etc. Okay. So you have rights. You as the author have rights. Now, with major services like Amazon or with Barnes and Noble, you're not going to forfeit any of your rights of ownership. Okay. However, always check the terms of use before you upload your work. This is the legal stuff. You want to pay attention to it. All right. And then stay current on the terms of use because they can change at any time. The contracts, the updates, the pricing structures, how they promote it, all of that is subject to change on your end, and in this case, on their end. Also, you know, when you do want to stay alert, you want to stay up to date with industry-wide trends. So again, this is where New Hampshire Writers Project or the Writers Digest or your, you know, America's Romance Writers Association, the Young Adult Writers Associations, they're going to stay current or keep you current with industry trends. Okay. And then post-publication, here's the best part about having rights off of a major service. So you could publish your book on Amazon, on Kindle, you know, on Barnes and Noble or something else. And if it went viral or got really popular, you could have an agent find it or a traditional publisher find it. And then they could recruit you for the ebook, in which case you are free to sell the rights without any obligation to Amazon or Barnes and Noble. You would not have to pay them a kickback because of the type of service it is. If it's an indie publishing house or a different brick and mortar, totally different ballgame. Again, read your contract. Okay, so then you go to the book cover itself. How many people, you know, judge a book by its cover literally? Mm-hmm. Right? There's got to be a visual appeal. Can, you know, just by looking at the book cover, the font styles, the images, don't you get a feel for what the book's about?
Yeah.
Right? Romance novels are a super easy example of the hunky guy who's all pecs and biceps and the shirt's off and then the woman swooning, usually with, you know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What it will look like for a teepee in the, you know, the aisle, a different story. You know, Nick, like Harry Potter covers, they're a little dark, they're moody, right? There's mystery there. There's usually a magical object, I would actually say. The Goblet of Fire, the magic wand, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so your book cover might be reflective of some of those elements. The wizard hats, whatever that looks like. So, and then Dawn, where yours is going to go, I do not know enough about the story other than it's a memoir and people, so I would think. Or think about, if it's transformation, it could be the butterfly image. It could be an archetypal image that represents, right? Otherwise, you know, it could be puzzle pieces or whatever that looks like. And then Maria, yours would be easy. I would think it would have a lake and loons.
Yeah, I'm actually using a lot of my own photos and anything else. My daughter is a photographer, so I would have her help me with that.
There you go. Yep. And that does go down onto your you know, hire the professionals, the headshots, the cover shots, the inside flaps. Okay. If she's a good photographer, that certainly works.
Mm-hmm.
Any visuals you use, your fonts, your colors, they do all represent you and your brand. This ties in with your brand. All right. What's not in your control, even when you get your book uploaded and on Amazon, you know, do people see it in black and white versus color? Is it in grayscale? Is it high resolution or low resolution? It all depends on what devices they're using it on. Okay. Are they seeing just a little tiny thumbnail, or are they seeing the full size image? Okay. So when you're choosing fonts, make sure it's readable at all sizes. You don't want to have such a long title that, like, if it gets crammed down, it just looks, it's not readable. That's not going to do anybody any good. So resolution, so here's on the photos and or images. Make sure, ensure it looks good on a low quality or mobile device, but adhere to the publisher's requirements. Any of your publishers are going to specify what format they want it on, a JPEG, a TIFF, a PDF, and what's the pixel, what's the dimensions. And if you don't do it right, it won't go on there, I'll tell you that. Okay, you do have to pay attention to that. All right, so for your headshot, you might want a nice photo. You know, your daughter's taking those photos, Maria. If the lake photos are great, that's wonderful. If you want credibility, perhaps you do get a nice headshot made. However, here's the thing. For your story and you're a park ranger, it might be perfectly appropriate to have a really nice park outside photo taken of you in your park ranger gear, right? Because that's who you are. Would it look the same as you being in a 3-piece suit in an office at a desk? Heck no, that wouldn't make sense for the headshot.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So think about, and it goes back to brand personality, you know? Okay. So Dawn, this goes to what we were talking about earlier. And yes, you had some challenges with this, but I still say find the right people. If you do admire an ebook cover, ask for a referral from the author. And perhaps, Dawn, you might do better with somebody already published on Amazon, and you can write to them through the website or something.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, with the people that I've connected with that aren't really writing like what I'm in my genre.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find people who are like self-published who are writing in my genre, because I mean, like when I think about a lot of the authors that I like, I mean, obviously contractually they can't really help me, even the ones that I know would, just because they're kind people. They can't do that. So I think that I need to find those like more like local and organic resources, as opposed to like,
yep,
you know, just I haven't found that yet. I'm finding a lot of the people that I'm seeing in like the beta writer space that I'm in right now, a lot of them are writing like young adult and romance and westerns and kind of that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. So I just had a thought pop into my head. The Dairy News, Deborah, I believe, is like the owner's name or whatever. She's a little bit crusty, and I mean that most respectfully, because she's a sweetheart. Once you get, you know, past that exterior, shall we say. However, Dairy News does publish articles about authors and about writing in the local area. So that might be a resource for you. And if anyone wants me to connect them with her, I would be happy to smooth the way over with an introductory email. And then we can use Bev Stoddard, you know, the journalist, and see who she knows in her circle, because Bev is very well connected. Okay. Maria, for you, I have a personal contact who has published her own children's book. I actually want to see if I can get this woman to do a bonus call for all of us as a group bonus for the program.
Mhm.
Talk about her journey, getting her book. I'm talking in circles. To get her book published, I want her to talk about that journey. And she wrote the book for her children. So let me keep working on that, but that might also provide some insights in the realm of, and we're only at class 2 tonight, folks.
Yeah,
There's
no.
4 classes left.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's awesome. Yes, sounds awesome.
Okay, so I'm still working on that. Okay, so you have your book, you've got it, and then there's technology to sell it. All right. Are you selling it on multiple services? So, and you've got to read the fine print. Does Amazon want it only on Amazon, or can you do Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Readsley or and iBooks? That's the other thing, Apple iBooks and stuff. Because now there's more and more ways to get your work out there, isn't there?
Mm.
I mean, publishing has totally, totally changed in the last 15 years, right? I used to have a huge CAD computer when I was learning desktop publishing, and it was like, it was CAD software practically. It was frame maker and page maker. You needed specialized skills, right? And then the next version of Microsoft Word came out, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you can publish using Microsoft Word. And I was like, what? Okay. And now you can publish using your phone, for heaven's sakes, which is good. This is good stuff. But I'm just saying that's how much it's changed. All right. So through your own website, you need a website. You need hostings. You need customer relationship management software. You need a shopping cart, which handles your credit card payments. You need a delivery system, shipping system, right? So I use 17hats.com. And if anyone explores that, I have a discount code you could use. I've also switching over to Kartra. I installed that as a CRM, and now I'm wondering if that would take the place of 17hats.com. So now I'm paying for 2 softwares. So it's an evolution. Just expect your business, because now we're talking your books as an author, as a business. It does change over time as you learn. All right. But the technology to sell using Amazon for Kindle, it's low expertise. Once your book's written and once it's formatted correctly, it takes like an hour to 2 hours, you know, to upload it, like to actually push those buttons at the very end. Okay. My biggest piece of advice for you, this is like underscore it, underline it, highlight it. Start with the format, guides, requirements that they tell you. Here's how your document should be formatted. Set up your Microsoft Word or your word processor according to that style, and you will save yourself hours and problems. And there's tutorials on Amazon, Kindle Direct Publishing. There's tutorials, so they make it super easy. If you start with the format guide, you're not going to have a lot of conversion of the files. Yes, they have automated converting your files from your format to their format. However, the quality might not be as good. Things might move, your headers, your page breaks, your shifts. All of a sudden, it might not look as good. And if they want it double spaced and you set it up single spaced, that's different, right? Font size, 12 point times Roman instead of, whatever. Okay, after you convert your files or you have your clean file, and then you'd also pay attention to the illustrations and or photos to make sure those show up in the same place. Then you're gonna upload them. All right, usually that does not take too long. It depends on the size of your document, of course. You will create your author profile. This is primarily for Amazon. And that's where you want to set up your credentials for writing the book. But make it engaging. Make it appealing so that the reader senses there's a person there, not just dry technical and it shouldn't be so like I that it's like, oh God. It's more like, Yeah, I'm Denise M. Simpson, and I write, Amuse Yourself Writing, so that people can tap into their creative flow and see how I turned it around, so it's what's in it for them. All right, that's part of your author profile. Okay, pricing your work, I got a slide on that, and then promotion strategies. So, pricing guidelines. Sales success for publishing, it is driven by the quality of the book. There are some crappy books on Kindle. I've said it before. There's also really good Kindle books, good quality on Kindle. And there's some well-known, internationally known, high quality. Nora Roberts, like the, the mystery genre. There's textbooks on Kindle. So, Amazon's got it all. But think about it this way. If I read a crappy book by the author once, am I going to go and read a second book or a third book by that same author?
Nope.
And Dawn's saying, yeah. Well, at some point, Dawn, I smart up and go like, oh.
I like to give everybody a chance because I don't know. My mother used to give me a lot of Nicholas Sparks novels, and a lot of them went in the trash, and I've read a good deal of them too. So.
Yep.
Well, not trash, Salvation Army, but.
Donation.
Maybe weird like that, but.
Depends how crappy it is. So if it's like, you can hit that level of so bad it's good, which is I'm totally going to read more.
Yes, this is true.
That's true, because it's like a train wreck or in a roadkill, and you just like, you want to look away, but you can't. And I hate when I get those books that suck me in, and I keep reading thinking they've got to get better. And then they don't, and then I'm like, oh, I read the whole thing, and it was like, it never got better. I hate that. But you're right, Nick, you're right. Yeah, so I expect that all of you will write better than what we're talking about. Okay, you already all are, so there. Okay, the sales success, yeah, it's driven by visibility. Again, you need those eyeballs on your product, which is your book, okay? And then visual is that cover appeal. So again, really good quality images and or fonts, layout, graphic design, all of that. So Amazon Kindle is an absolutely huge market. It is worldwide. They have billions with a B credit cards on file. I did not look up today's statistics, but it used to be at least 50, to 70% of book sales were off of Amazon. It probably is higher today. All right. So the opportunity is there for each of you to have a piece of that pie. Okay. And then here's the royalties. So I said 70% royalties if your manuscript is priced between 99 cents and $9.99. That's US. Check the policies for worldwide. If you price your book above $9.99, then the royalty drops to 35%. So Nora Roberts' books, $13.99, $16.99, $20.99. She's okay with 35% royalties because her readership is so vast. It's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. When you're starting out, when you start, you'll be lucky if you get 10 people. Okay. And they're probably friends and family, but then you build your readership and then you can raise your prices. Okay. So then there's your strategy. Price the books 99 cents. And for tomorrow, so we are promoting the Great Pause tomorrow. Part of the launch strategy is it will be a free download on day one. Again, the strategy is to build the volume and get the downloads and hit that #1 status, get really good rankings. And that's visibility, that's exposure. All right. And then the book prices will go up from there. Elizabeth Hill is the editor. So she has her whole strategy. I'm along for the ride. All right. So then promotions, Amazon Kindle does a great job of providing you with tools so you can promote your books a couple times a year. And there's different programs. I'm not going to go into the details tonight. We'd be here all night long. But you know, pay attention and use those. Okay, and monitor your process. Kindle Direct Publishing has fantastic reports, and you can get an email notification for how many units sold, where did they sell. I've had my book downloaded over in Germany and Spain and Ireland and England, and then the US and Canada, of course. You know, it's kind of exciting. All right. Okay. What questions do you have up to this point? Because I've just given you a lot of info. Take a breath, because that's a lot. Okay, none. All right. Part of your launch strategy will also be to collect reviews. Hopefully they're 5 stars to gain that coveted, you know, Amazon #1 bestseller status. All right. It's a stamp of approval. It will assure readers who don't know you of the quality of the book. We're talking book quality again. They are critical for creating credibility. All right. Again, when you have a Kindle bestseller list, when you get that #1, Amazon will promote you more visibly to the public. So then your sales will increase. I think my Amuse Yourself writing book is down there and, you know, ranking about 132,694. Right? I'm not super visible, but I've been doing 0 promotions and marketing for that. But do you think I'm going to get noticed by people when I'm down there in the rankings? No. When I did release it, I hit #1 for 4 days, and then I started dropping down. Okay. But visibility, again, visibility. It's like real estate, location. And then these bestseller reviews are key to successful sales of the volume of books. When you sell books in volume, you make money in volume. So that's what I have for you as an overview on the publishing. What are your thoughts? Give me some feedback.
It's very
There's a lot.
confusing. It's a lot of information. Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of information. Is it helpful? Are you so overloaded you can't even hear it?
No, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with all of this that you put together for us.
Thank you. Okay. All right. And again, it's that 50,000 foot overview, right? The closer you get to being ready to submit and publish, the more I can help you and we can work through it. And then I can point you in different directions. I can refer you to other people. Some things I can help you with, you know, if you're willing to pay me type thing. And other things I'll be like, nope, this is where you want to go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Success is really what it's all about at that point. All right, great. So let's keep moving on then. Thank you for your attention, because yes, that's a lot. You are going to get the slides. You know that. You'll get the recordings. Download or keep your recordings, and then later on, you know, months from now, whenever, weeks from now, months from now, a year from now, you'll have it to refresh your memories. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's take a deep breath. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Let's connect our sacred circle together. Connecting soul to soul, mind to mind, and heart to heart. And let go of all that information. And just coming down into this present moment in our bodies. Can you feel that? Yeah, shake it out if you need to. Just let go of all of that. All right, so let's check in on your celebrations, challenges, and insights. And so these were your goals that I had from last week for tonight. So, Nick, do you want to start?
Sure. I did write some, but not as much as I was hoping to, because I've just had a lot going on in my life right now. A lot of changes. I got my cousin moving in with me next month. I'm setting stuff up. So I've just been busy, but I did get some writing done, and I'm close to finishing chapter 11.
Okay. Well, celebration for writing in the midst of life with a capital L.
Mm.
Because you know what? That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So holding space for you. And then you're almost done with chapter 11. That's dynamite. Okay. Good. Who's next?
No, go.
Yeah, you look like you're chomping at the bit to go, Chrissy.
Oh,
Go for it.
same thing as Nick. Life got in the way this week a lot, but actually, it's kind of standard for me whereas I start with a bang and then all of a sudden, so I think that's common in this stage of the game for this story. So I know I'll get through it, and because I know where I'm going. So just
Okay.
for some reason you hit a blank sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I still worked, but yeah, not as much as I wanted to.
Okay. So I want you to think about this. Now, life got in the way.
Yeah.
So if it's other demands and stuff, that's one thing. If you're just slowing down because this is a stage you hit, and
Yeah.
I know I'll break through it sometime, like that's where you want to dig in and do your tapping and break through it faster.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you were on deadline with a publishing house, they're not going to be happy with you going like,
No.
well, I just slowed down and I hit that block. And they're like,
Yeah.
it was due last Friday.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where you want to be able to hold yourself accountable and
Hmm.
tap through it. If that's what fits. If you're dealing with a cousin moving in, if you're dealing with your son, it's like there's other things that can prevent writing.
Yeah.
That's different. You hear
Yeah.
the distinction?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So how does that land? Is there anything you want to comment on that?
No, I agree, and I have to learn to push through it, and just continue on. Yeah, because I wouldn't want to get anyone mad. If I had a traditional publishing contract, yeah, it would probably, but not be good. So
Okay, so let me reframe that. Let me tweak that just a little bit.
yeah.
Coming from a place of I don't want to get anyone mad, are you okay with me doing this little piece of coaching?
Yep.
Okay, so that's coming from a very disempowered standpoint.
Yeah.
A better way for me to express it and for you to work on it would be to do the tapping to explore what's there causing the slowdown.
Hmm.
Okay, think about it this way. We've worked with the inner critic, the judge, procrastination, perfectionism, and the saboteur, right?
Hmm.
Those 5 main voices.
Yeah.
Do the tapping to explore which voice is it? Is it one of these 5?
Yeah.
The saboteur loves to slow you down when you're making headway, when
Hmm.
you're being successful, when you're actually growing and expanding. And what's happening is you're hitting one of your ceilings. So the tapping is going to help you break through it faster, further, without as much struggle.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's where you want that exploration. And it could even be, if it's not tapping, then journal and free write. It's like, I feel so blocked. I hit this block. This is a pattern. I wonder what this is about. I'm afraid of. What are you afraid of? What's at risk? What
Hmm.
would it mean to be finishing your story? Right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what the ending is? It's like you never had an ending before. So what's happening is you're actually rising, and if you put a saran wrap on bread that rises, that bread dough is actually hitting the saran wrap.
Hmm.
We want to get to the point where the bread dough rises and there's no saran wrap to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Good. Thank you. but good point. Okay. And then we have, I'm going to call on Maria, and then Dawn, you'll wrap us up.
Okay,
So
so
Maria, how did you do with your goals?
I did pretty well. I did my writing twice a week for the 15 minutes. I did actually more writing, and I did join Hay House, and I've been going through all of their little classes and whatnot, and it's really helping because like they give you like all these little they had me do like 100 moments, like 100 things, a list of 100 things, like I remember this, and then go through and elaborate on it. And that really helped. It helped me, like, not as far as like my story, but it helped me unlock what was in my head at that time.
Good.
So, yeah.
Excellent. And that's giving yourself permission to write.
Yes.
Woo, celebration.
Not necessarily my story that I'm working on that I really want my goal to be, but expanding out in different ways.
It's expanding your writer's voice. It's expanding your writing skill and flow. So that's still a celebration. Yeah. And I want to celebrate Chrissy too, because you know what? You did write. Okay. You know where you're going with your story. So recognition for both Chrissy and Maria. Maria,
Thank you.
that's dynamite. Yeah. And Maria, again, you said, well, I did pretty good, but then you said, but I wrote you met your goal. So that's not pretty good. That's really good.
Okay.
Own your accomplishment, girlfriend. Okay. It's like, no, I did write for 2 minutes. I wrote more. So excellent. Nothing's wasted. Nothing is wasted. If you're writing those exercises, they still will end up having an impact on your loon book for the flow. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll find that you write the rest of the story easier. Nothing's ever wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Every experience of life can contribute somehow. Whether it's fiction and it goes into a character, or it's personal transformation like Dawn's writing, it's like, it's just there for us to harvest. So I'm psyched that you joined that program. That's really good. I did not, but good on you. Okay, last but not least, Dawn, wrap us up here.
Well, I feel kind of bad because Chrissy's like, I didn't really get that much done, but she actually read the entire novel that I wrote. So that was really nice of her that she did that.
She read your entire novel that you wrote?
She read the whole entire thing. Yeah.
Christy, you're holding out on the
I did.
So she was probably busy doing that, like when she could have been writing, because she has a 10-year-old son, so I feel kind of bad now, but
no, and I loved it. Your story is very good.
Thanks.
Okay, and then Dawn, give up the feel bad about that.
Well, like, I'm editing it. I'm editing again I feel like I've edited like 16 times now. Good. And I've had like this whole heart-to-heart talk with myself about whether I should rewrite, because I do actually I have it written in first person and I have it written in third person. Like, maybe I should write it in first person, but no, I'm really stuck on the third person. And I feel like a lot of the writing when I edited it is not where I want it to be. Like, I want it to be the Virgin Suicides, and it reads back to me like the Babysitter's Club. So I feel like it's not like hit punching as much as I would have hoped. So I've been trying to get some reading done to see, when I'm laying in bed at night trying to come up with all these great show not tell analogies and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I feel like the story like exists, but I need to still go back and like make it actually come alive and bring it to, I don't know. So,
okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I've been just doing some fun writing in the meantime.
Good. And that was my suggestion. So celebration number 1.
Yay.
Thank you for recognizing Chrissy number 2.
Well,
I
that
know. This is so
that was a
nice.
big thing because there's a lot of people out there who've said like, "Oh, I mean, everybody, I'll be the first to admit if my mom came to me and was like, I love Danielle Steele and I've written a Danielle Steele style story, I'd probably be like, ooh, maybe my sister wants to read it." But a lot of people did say to me like, "Oh, we'll read it," and then did not follow through. So Chrissy is an absolute hero that she actually read
No, thank you.
that. She's restoring my faith in people. So
But you attracted this partnership. This is
Yeah.
where you and she are in vibrational alignment to attract it, and it's working. And you've got clear communication. And if not, you're working on your communication with each other, like those
great,
expectations. Yeah, it's a partnership. So both of you need to own that.
Yeah.
And then Dawn, I almost feel like you need to take a break. As much as this course is about writing, I'm sensing that you wrote a whole 85,000 word novel in first person. You turned around and cranked it up for 250,000 words and cut it down to 85.
no, not well. Yeah. It's
She's
like
done a lot.
130,000 words. But no, like you said, nothing is wasted. I actually have completely different scenes that exist in the first person that don't exist in the third person. The way I have it right now, I really like it. And it's just basically going back and giving it some more, adding some more spice to the chili I just made. And,
So you have 2 choices minimum.
oh God. Okay.
No, you do. It's like if you're still stirring that chili in the pot and it's just a matter of spicing it up, then spice it and finish the dish. Or if you're so sick of looking at that chili and it's like almost burning because it's been on the stove so long, maybe it's time to pull it off, let it cool down, right?
Yeah.
And then come back to it. Lasagna, meatballs always taste better the next day when they've had a chance for those flavors to integrate.
Yeah.
So you figure out what'll work better. But if you're getting so tense and so tight about,
I'm not feeling that way though. Like I feel like I enjoy these. It's almost like when you really like someone, but they kind of drive you crazy at the same time. You can step away for a few minutes and be like, I need a break. But then you're like, oh, where's so-and-so who I love so much? They're my best friend. I need them. Because I feel like if I go a few days, like I can understand why some people go and write an entire novel in someone else's perspective because they just can't give up the story. Like it's like I can't quit the story. I feel like I really enjoy these characters and I like spending time with them, but I just haven't found the right outfits for them to wear for the wedding yet. And that's kind of the stage I feel like I'm in right now. So.
Okay. So use your best judgment. It's your writing process. I'm not trying to dictate, but what I'm trying to express is feel into that. If it's overwhelming, it's just you're getting so bogged down and you can't shut it off, but you're not really making the progress you want. Sometimes you need to step away and let it breathe. Today I read my story and it's like, there were 4 things I had to fix, right? Yeah. There's a couple other things I tweaked, but there were 4 things like I had to fix. That's because it had time to breathe, right? Yeah. I haven't looked at it for, a month. So it's like, oh, okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, good. And if not, do some fun writing. And I think you said that. It's like,
I started writing like took another character from the story and started writing about them to kind of just for fun.
Yeah. So awesome. Okay. Celebration for Dawn. All right. So that's all 4 of you, right? Good. So let's move right into the Writing Hero Love Support Seat. Does anyone need suggestions for how to tap Chrissy? I already gave you some. Dawn, you can even tap on how people let you down and you're so disappointed and then exaggerate the heck out of it. I will never find a writing partner. No, I will never find people I can count on because what's going to happen is the more you do the negative and then you can exaggerate the heck out of it, you'll hear that shift. There'll be that neural shift where all of a sudden it's like, There's people I can count on. Chrissy's doing a great job for me. It's not true that. Okay. So, and then go into the, what if I could find beta readers who, who over deliver? I can't wait to see who I can attract to help me edit, right? Oh my God, it's going to be so fantastic when they give me constructive criticism. My book's going to be even so much better. So see how you can go from the really negative to moderate and then push it to the extreme? And I'll tell you, you spend a half an hour doing that or an hour doing that if you can give yourself that time. And it's just like, you're going to feel so energized at the end of that. It's going to be like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Okay.
That's how Tapping works. So, all right. Who is up on the reading? And remember, we're critiquing these factors. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So the opening, any conflicts, plots, pacing, tension, settings, characters, dialogue, point of view. I said that. Showing versus telling, formatting, grammar and spelling. When you're hearing it, it might not be so much spelling, but definitely grammar and style. So, who would like to read? I don't know who he had on the list, but
We want to know if we can do something tonight.
yeah.
And you're allowed to say no, absolutely. Chrissy and I are curious about hearing our stories in other people's voices.
Yes.
Are we allowed to swap so she reads mine and then I'll read hers if that's in the order that we go in, or?
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, I know that I have Chrissy's here and I know she has mine, but that actually in the order that we set up last week, I think it was me and then it was Maria. So we don't want to leave Maria out.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm good because I didn't really write very much on my story. I just did like some fun writing, and I would rather hear what you ladies have written.
Okay. Nick, are you okay with it?
I'm fine with it.
All right. So then, Dawn, take it away.
Okay, that's Chrissy's gonna read mine.
All right.
Okay, Chrissy, take it away.
The phone rang 8 times before his voicemail picked up. Hey, it's Andy. Leave me a message. Candace sighed loudly and snapped her phone closed, defeated, slipping the black Motorola Razr into the pocket of her cream-colored suit jacket. She had told her fiancé that she would call him at noon on the dot, but now he could not even be bothered to answer her. The rejection was another bitter sting in a series of less than savory reactions to her lately, and Candace was both hurt and confused. They were supposed to be getting married in October, and here it was, the last week of July, and he was already showing signs of cold feet. At her desk, she heaved containers of sliced fruit from her insulated lunch bag, smearing tasteless cottage cheese across the faded, meaty chunks of cantaloupe, her wedding day diet of deprivation and depression. At dinner 3 nights ago, Andrew had scarfed a double cheeseburger and fries covered in gravy while she had stared at him over her bone-dry salad, her growling stomach screaming with rage at the double standard. Her next patient would arrive at 1, yet already bored of the bland meal, she banished the food, if you could call it that, back to the staff refrigerator and took her phone out again. Andrew was probably with a client, she lied to herself. That's right, they had a big donor coming today. No, that was yesterday. She frowned. Glancing at the bright pixels on the screen, she texted Olivia, Andy lets me down. Again. The chime of the incoming text was a warm reminder of her worth. All right, next week, it's happening. You're not sitting around over your vacation. Candace smiled and smoothed a strand of her curly dark blonde hair behind her ear. Leave it to Olivia to attempt to make her feel better after Andy had informed her that their camping trip would need to be postponed. Michael Jordan had found time in his schedule to make an appearance at the boys' basketball clinic Andrew's nonprofit had been running. Candace was certain that the cancellation was less about was less about not letting the CEO down by not showing a visit from a celebrity and more his own desire to meet a childhood hero, or so she assumed. Andy was short and awkward and looked like he had never played a game of hoops in his entire life. She swallowed hard. He couldn't be mad at her for going away with Olivia rather than sitting at home while he fanboyed the basketball great, could he? She brushed his feelings away. Where are you going? It's a surprise, just trust me. A grin overtook Candace's face. She knew that she could count on Olivia to make up for Andy's shortcomings. Before she could rethink it, she was messaging her fiancé. Olivia and I are going away next week. Where? Oh, so there he was there after all. She chuckled and opened her desk drawer, removing the emergency chocolate bar resting next to the ditch full of dried up Highlander pens. The candy was so sweet it set her tongue tingling. She had been very good playing at the devoted betrothed, arranging their quaint new apartment with their adorable little knickknacks and unnecessary kitchen gadgets from the shower, while whacking her thumb purple in an attempt to hang the hand-painted sign of her future mother-in-law had lovingly gifted, Candy and Andy. She considered the promise they had made each other 4 months ago. No more sex until their wedding night. The chocolate was barely touching that craving, that was for sure. Tossing the wrapper into the wastebasket, Candace sent another message. I don't know, Andy. Don't you trust Olivia? His response came too quickly. I don't think I trust either of you, actually. Andrew showered for 45 minutes after work while Candace stared at the containers of Chinese food that he had left on the counter, unsure if she would last until he was done toweling himself off. Just a little taste, she told herself. She popped the first greasy carton open, managing to tear the side, yet the smell of the lo mein was enough to make her sigh. With her bare hand, she snaked a long, slimy noodle and dangled it into her mouth. The tantalizing saltiness was too much. She was going to need a fork for the next bite. Hey now, what do you think you're doing? Andy was standing in the kitchen, wrapped in one of the new fluffy beige towels his Aunt Sarah had bought for them. You know you can't eat that, Care Bear, right? His long brown hair fell in wiry little whips around the side of his stern face, and he was looking at her with alarm. What size dress did you buy again? Awesome, the fat shaming. Sorry, honey, I just wanted a taste. Why was she apologizing? He approached her and gave her a kiss right on the lips, his own mouth still damp and cold from the shower. I got you some steamed vegetables and white rice. Maybe only eat half of the rice? Candace watched him as he fished 2 of the new mauve Fiesta-ware dishes from the cabinet. Those were a gift from his Aunt Jan, and set about opening his fried chicken wings, crispy pork biscuits, and heavenly lo mein, which he dumped on his plate alone, giving her a little nod. Her own limp vegetables looking sad in comparison. Fuck Andy and his stupid fast metabolism, Candace thought. Her rice looked like a ball of sticky maggots compared to his own seasoned concoction with fried onions and chunks of marinated pork. If this meal was a sign of what she would need to sacrifice for this marriage, Candace was all ready to consider a divorce. So, Andrew started, where are you and Olivia planning to go? I didn't think this big league job of hers she could just up and take a week off like it's no big deal. He licked soy sauce from his fingers. She shrugged. Just to the beach. She told me a boss is working from his summer home and he's fine if we go out there too. So technically she'll still be at work. And Andy looked thoughtful. How are you getting to the Hamptons from here from our one car, which I will need to get to work each day? Does the Greyhound stop in Montauk? Jesus, Andy, can't you at least be happy for me that I'm getting away? Olivia told me she would figure everything out. And we're not even going to the Hamptons. You won't be inconvenienced by any of this other than you'll need to take the trash out and feed Sammy. Candace stood up and tossed the rest of her prison meal into the garbage. Give me an egg roll. No. Fine, I'm going to watch TV. Later, as they lay in bed together, Andrew rolled on his side to look at her. You know, in case I haven't told you, I'm proud of you for how well you've done on your diet. He settled back against his pillow, and when she and when she answered with silence. I'm really liking that spare room. It would make a great nursery. He knew just how to push her buttons. We need to wait at least a year. I've only been at Hollyhawks for 2 years now, and we've agreed that you need to be in some sort of executive position at the High Five Center before we could consider starting a family. Isn't Sammy enough right now? Can you be a cat dad for a while, Andy? Sure, I just don't want to wait too long. We've been together for 4 years, and I want a family by 30. Candace smiled. You're so type A. I don't know how I put up with you, she teased. I wish you were a little more like Olivia, Andy. Do you know what she makes in a year? Why do you care about what she makes in a year? Money doesn't buy happiness. He huffed his breath and turned on his side away from her. Candace wished suddenly that he hadn't instilled the no-sex rule. She wanted nothing more than to pull him close and fare his bare skin against hers. Olivia concerns me, he added. You make bad choices when you're around her. Olivia introduced us. You know what I mean. She's changed. She wasn't she wasn't always this slick material girl. She used to want to be a math teacher, you know. She cared about what I cared about, kids' well-being and making the world a better place. She's vapid. She's hollow. I don't want to see you become like that. Candace cringed. Then maybe I should eat something other than rabbit food. Andy turned back to face her. Care Bear, you're too cute. Go have fun. Just don't forget that I love you, okay? Monday morning, and Candace hit the refresh on her email. Well, this was bullshit, she thought, banging her limp celery stick against the glass plate in frustration. Olivia had promised to send her travel arrangements late Sunday evening, but her carefree text to Candace the night before had simply read that she was still working on things. Likely, Tim had vetoed the idea of his assistant bringing her best friend out to his beach house in Rhode Island for the week, and at 5 p.m. Candace would be scrounging around for dinner and thinking of a way she could score an invite to the Michael Jordan Clinic on Wednesday. Andy had already told her no 3 times, and now Candace realized that both her fiancé and her best friend had let her down. She moved to the couch and mindlessly flipped the television on. A reheated episode of Eternally Cherry, Regis and Kelly making her frown harder. A swift knock on her apartment door dragged her body up, and Candace stood dumbfaced, staring at her beaming best friend, a cardboard tray of whipped cream topped beverages balanced in one arm and a shiny Birkin bag in the other. Surprise! Candace felt the August air hit the back of her throat as she realized her mouth was hanging open. What are you doing here? Didn't I say Monday? Yummies first, then we leave. You like mocha, right? Olivia strode past her pajama-clad friend into the tidy living room, her perfect shiny mauve lips set in a firm line as she took in the model Viking ship Andy was constructing at their little kitchen table. Really, Candy Cane? Please tell me he didn't register for that. She set the coffees down and grinned at Candace. Go, get ready, love bug. You packed, right? What? I was waiting on something. Flight information, bus information. Candace accepted the huge coffee concoction from Olivia and took a long sip, savoring the rich sweetness as she envisioned the chocolate massacring the celery and cottage cheese swirling pathetically in her stomach. No way. Tim told me to take the Cessna. I mean, you're a work expense, right? Hustle, pack. The limo is waiting outside. Limo? You're joking. I haven't even showered yet. Well, if you're going to the beach later, your hair is just going to get all fucked up again. Don't shower. She gave Candace a condescending sizing up. Old Navy yoga pants on and put some stuff in a bag and let's leave already. Olivia's face broke out in a huge smile. Bring something sexy to wear. Candace scrunched a face. Yeah, I don't own anything sexy. Well, you're lucky that I do then. Let's go already. While Olivia waited, Candace threw shorts, tank tops, and underwear in her college duffel bag. As an afterthought, she grabbed her leggings and sports bras, remembering that Andrew would want her to keep up with her exercising. Then she pulled the red string bikini that she had purchased for their trip to Aruba last summer, the bathing suit that she had chickened out on wearing at the last minute, and stuffed the sexy pieces into the bag next to the balled-up clean socks. The bikini still had the tag on it, and she grimaced as she remembered what she had spent on it and the way Andy had ridiculed her when he had found the receipt. Exhaling slowly, she penned a quick note to him, leaving it by the Viking ship model. Leaving for Rhode Island, I love you. Was there more to say? She thought to add that she would miss him, only she sadly knew that she would not. She stopped to pet the cat on the way out. Ms. Richards, the stiff limo driver, nodded at Olivia as she strode to the waiting car and shooed Candace in first. In the cool interior, the two girls immediately burst into laughter. God, I think the last time I was in a limo, I was going to the prom. Candace gushed, her eyes jumping around the posh interior. Mike Morrow's dad rented us a limo, and Mike invited the 6 people, like 6 people too many, so we were literally sitting on each other's laps. But look at you now, Olivia said sweetly. Candace blushed. Look at you, the Birkin bag, the Louboutins, the what? Is that Chanel? Olivia's face heated. Maybe. Tim's been pretty good to me. I mean, I can't see myself doing this forever, but it's totally not the devil wears Prada. He's a good guy. His sister's a nightmare, and his father can be a cantankerous motherfucker, but he's decent. And the pay and the perks, can't say I won't miss them. The Devil Wears Prada. I didn't read that book. I suppose I imagine you more like Carrie in Sex and the City. And I'm your friend who talks to middle-class people with anxiety issues all day while you shop. As soon as the words were out of her mouth, Candace's face grew hot. Olivia leaned forward slightly, her lips in a snarl. My hard work and you benefit. Someday, when I'm developing real estate in Dubai and you're talking to Mr. Smith about how he needs to understand his wife's dry cunt is mostly his fault for his shortcomings, you can go ahead and assume all I do is shop. Her face contorted back into a sweet smile. Right, love bug? Yikes. Who the fuck was this person? I'm sorry, Candace said softly. I'm really grateful for you. Seriously, if you hadn't saved me, I would have a stack of movies from Blockbuster and be making love to pizza and Bond's Farm wine each night. Of course, Candy Cane, you're my very best friend. Olivia settled back and let her eyes roam out the window. Beautiful Wilkes-Barre, right? Lovely Pennsylvania, right? She scoffed. You've never been on a private jet before, have you? Candace sunk further into a dream. It was 2007, and she and Andy were getting ready to celebrate their second wedding anniversary. She saw herself round with baby number 2 on the way, a smiley and clean-mouthed 9-year-old, a clean 9-month-old already waiting for her in her high chair. In her fantasy, or was it a nightmare? She was not sure if she was happy. Turning awkwardly in her seat, she felt the crunch of her phone against her upper thigh and instantly blinked herself awake, her breathing coming in heavy chugs as she rejoined the present moment. Have a nice nap? Olivia asked her, the other woman's eyes not looking up from her BlackBerry. Sure. Hey, how's your reception? Non-existent. Olivia looked up and met her friend's alarmed stare. Don't worry, Candy Cane. We're almost to Westerly.
Okay, hold on there. I don't know how much more is left, but I want to give enough time.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a good place to stop.
That's a good place to stop?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so feedback for Dawn's story that Chrissy read.
Oh, I love it. I love the relationship with the friends and everything and what they're talking about. It's very realistic and it's fun, you know. And you immediately feel bad for Candace, you know, and, you know, you can totally empathize with her. So I love that.
Chick flick material.
Yep.
In a good way. That's a in the city, you know, that's chick flick stuff. So yeah. Okay, Maria, what else? You were gonna say something?
Yeah, it was just different hearing Chrissy read Dawn's story. It was like, wow, it just was like different for me to listen to it that way. And I really like how Dawn does like throw in a little bit of the humor and stuff like that. And it just makes for a fun story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. Okay, Nick, any feedback for Dawn?
Andy pisses me off. Lots of anger towards the fat shaming and
Yeah.
just the food comparisons. I love the descriptions of the food.
Mm.
The stack of blockbuster movies from Blockbuster, that just made me feel old. I haven't been to a Blockbuster in so long. But it gets you in the right time zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they even exist anymore? I don't think they're in business
No.
anymore, right? No.
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 Right. So talk about setting. That definitely sets your book in an era, Dawn. Right? And even the BlackBerry, the Razor
Yeah.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else, Nick, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh.
Nope. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spot on with the dialogue. Very fun with the dialogue. Definitely you're painting Andy, and he's a, you know, not a nice guy. But that means you're painting the villain well. We've got the antagonist. You're developing that character really nicely. Yeah, that the bone dry salad. You just had a lot of really good words and phrases in there. Letting her down, that worth, that comment about worth at the beginning, for the inner self-esteem was really good. The slimy noodle, like,
Oh.
yeah, that was a good one, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the prison meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, and then the slick material girl, but then the dialogue with the love bug and candy cane, and like all that stuff was really good. The massacre in the stomach, right? Just Dawn, you've got this just is working.
Thank you.
So yeah, and then the use of those status labels. Tim gave her those gifts. Really good, because that's what's setting the characters up as far as socioeconomics, right? So I love how the plot's developing. The third person is working, so it's like I can't wait to see where this goes. Yeah. And then Chrissy, for you reading, good job reading. Maybe slow it down just a smidge.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, seemed like it was just a little fast to me, but anybody else think it was just a little fast? Were you guys okay with Chrissy? I mean, it was definitely understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then.
Thank you for reading that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Great.
It was
All
really
right.
good to hear someone else read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
I
was
know,
the
it's cool.
experience like, Dawn?
What was that?
What was that like for you hearing Chrissy?
It's really cool to hear someone else read it, because it's, first of all, like, just it's your primal emotions, like you're like, someone else is actually reading my work, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just cool to hear someone else, because then it reads back differently. Because I mean, even when I'm reading to myself out loud, like, I feel like it's not quite the same as hearing as somebody else who's didn't write the story doing it. So
Does it bring a freshness of it?
Yeah.
To you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. And then can you hear it, and are you evaluating it or judging it, differently than if you were doing the reading?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. For me, I always do. Yeah. If someone else is reading.
Okay. And is it more positive or negative?
It's positive. I will actually say that there's material that I find that when I come to in this story, I might not be able to read because it might make me blush a lot. So sometimes it's easier to step back, have someone else do that. So Depends
Yeah.
on what you get in this.
I've noticed that the sexy parts are easy to read for someone else's than it is to read mine.
Yeah.
Like I can read yours and be like, fine. But yeah, when it's mine, it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like watching, because
Yeah.
I mean, you have like a connection to the characters too, so you're like, I don't know. It's weird.
Right. And did I hear that C word in there?
Yeah.
Stop it, Bruno, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so the thing I want to say in that, well, hopefully nobody's offended here. We're adults.
Right.
Hopefully Maria or Nick, everyone's okay.
Yeah, no.
Oh, totally fine.
No
We're not
worries.
scarred for life.
No.
Oh my God.
I think we've probably all heard it before.
Mhm.
But the point I do want to make with that for both of you, like if it's easier having somebody else read, think about if when your book is published and if you are asked to do an author reading
Mhm.
and that's part of the section somebody asks you about, you will have to address it.
I can
Yeah.
say that word just fine. It's when I'm talking about like the intimacy stuff that I get like red-faced.
All right. So, and even with that, that's something you could tap on and develop more skills, more fluency, more comfort levels. You could change your thermostat about that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
Right. Good. Time's ticking. So, Dawn,
Can I read Prissy?
Yes, please.
All right. Charming arrived a few minutes later with the pizza, mozzarella sticks, and more drinks. Okay, tell me all about your brilliant idea. He placed a plate in front of her with 2 slices already on it and a glass of wine. Lexi was already bringing the glass to her lips before she'd realized he'd even asked her a question. Jack sighed. I'm so sorry you had to wait so long for this pizza. I know you were hungry. I hope it's worth it. Now, he said, biting into his own slice. As he swallowed, he continued, tell me all about this brilliant idea of yours. Crap, I guess Charming didn't forget. Was she really going to suggest this? It was just another idea, but she was on a roll. She had another glass of wine for the courage. He'd listened to her before, and apparently he was still listening now. Wow, this might be a record as far as dates are concerned. Her current writing dilemma would help him, at least she hoped. In her fantasies and writing, actually, she could be whoever she wanted to be. I was thinking about what you said, that life was all work and survival, and how we could change that. Yes, sounds good, Lexi. Now shut up and keep going. These guys at the department that are giving you crap, she blurted out. Then she drank her wine. You can do this, Lexi. She placed her glass down on the table with a little too much force. Oops. Why don't we give them a story, but we put the emphasis on our relationship? Give them something else to focus on and not what we thought we did wrong during the incident. Good. She said it. Now for her wine again. She wanted to close her eyes and wait for Charming's response. God, she was afraid to look, but she did. Who could resist a peek at Charming? Need more wine. Charming raised an eyebrow. You mean, like, pretend we're dating? Lexi winced. Kind of, sort of. Yeah. Oh my God, no. What is wrong with her? I know it's crazy, but I'm a writer, and I'm tempted to write a story about my experience with the charming man. Did she really just say that? Her face heated. Jax laughed. Oh, really? What would you need to do or have if you were to write these articles? A date, for one thing. And what is this? He pointed, referring to the 2 of them. Oh, well, I didn't want to assume. I mean, I met you at the supermarket and not in a dating site, and I didn't want to put you on the spot or anything, which makes me look pretty bad right now because I am putting you on the spot. Sorry. God, you're too cute, Pixie. He took another drink from his beer and was pretty sure he'd noticed Lexi shaking hands. God, how embarrassing. It's like she'd never spoken an adult conversation with someone before. She shoved them in her lap again. Her heart sounded like the beat of a drum that Charming could probably hear pounding from where he'd been sitting. If I'm going to help you, I need to make sure. How would this work? Would we have actual dates? Yes. Wait, she'd answered with a question. She needed to sound sure of herself and her ideas, or he needed to have options. He needed to be the one telling her what he wanted if he was going to help her. Ideally, because the dates will help me figure out Ways to be creative in socially distant times that I can suggest for my readers to try with their own partners. She covered her face. She couldn't help it. I'm sorry. This is a terrible idea. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Maybe I should just tell the editor that I can't write this. As if on cue, sounds echoed from the stretch of desert land around the corner from the development. Hee-haw, hee-haw. She sat up, her face flushing when she realized that it was the wild donkeys that roamed the desert around their town. Now I feel like an ass, she said, and they both burst out laughing, her jokes taking some of the sting out of her anxiety. Oh, stop it. I like your ass, said Jax, and paused. And your joke. Thanks, she said. God, how did Charming do that? The way he cleverly turned each of their conversations into endearing ones was definitely made for the record books. Seriously, though, it would be so much easier to just write a romance novel like I've always wanted, and then I'll dream up a movie deal that can go along with it. No, it's not a bad idea at all, although the romance novel sounds interesting too. He reached over to grab his spear again, but he hesitated, and he studied her as she tried to calm herself down. Give me your hand. Lexi glanced down at her lap. Okay. She leaned over and offered her hand. As his warm hand squeezed hers, he lifted it in the air. You asked me earlier what I wanted. What do you really want? I want to help people during the coronavirus. Is that what you really want to do? Yes, well, my short-term goal is to write this story and pay my mortgage. Long-term goal? To write a romance novel. Why? What makes writing this book so special for you? I guess I've just always liked romance, Lexi said, searching Charming's dark gaze, trying to uncover his mysteries. He leaned forward. She could see that his pupils had dilated, and that's when she realized she'd struck gold. Duh, Lexi. She had his attention. He wanted to hear more. She wasn't failing, at least not this time. He's actually interested in what I have to say. Well, that's not true. I remember exactly when I discovered I loved romance. It was during the time when we got our first VCR in our family, and we rented so many movies, she said. One of them begins with an author trying to come up with the last lines of her romance novel on her typewriter. Later, when she receives a mysterious map and discovers her sister's been kidnapped, the author flies to Colombia to rescue her. There, she meets up with a handsome stranger that helps her through the journey. An electric current of excitement jolted through her. I think I remember this one. Is the drug dealer they run into a big fan of this author, and he has all of her books? Lexi laughed. Yes, that's the one. She tilted her head back. It's so good. As soon as I saw her typing her story, I thought, that's exactly what I want to do. And I've always thought that way since. And she remembered how she couldn't wait to fall in love, but that wasn't part of her writing story. Well, the romance part was anyway. Charming's eyes sparkled with interest. Well, I don't see your dilemma. Right now, we're having a date and you're in the middle of a quarantine. You can write about this in a story, right? I guess so. Charming made it sound so simple. Would he really do this for her? But if you're interested, you have to be honest with me. When you're done, you're done. Jax frowned. What do you mean? Well, most online dates don't go anywhere. When most people met me, they decided they didn't like what they saw. This is my way of writing to make a point. We need social and physical connection to survive. Many couples won't make it in this COVID-19 world. So why are you writing a series about something you don't even think works? It has to do with romance, my favorite type of story, and I need the money. So I pitched it. Do I look unhappy? No, you're flirting with me, so I guess you're having fun with that. Are you having fun with that? Yes, I would be a stupid girl not to. You're easy on the eyes, Charming. She gulped at her response. Wine. She needed her wine again. As she reached for her drink, her shaking hand made the wine slosh around in the glass. He arched a brow. So we would be having a quarantine romance. Yeah, Lexi said, shrugging, like this arrangement was no big deal for her. Don't spill your wine. Socially distant, 6 feet. It will be research for me. And a nice story about our meeting. Hopefully. She didn't want to put too much pressure on herself. What if her story sucked and he hated the way she portrayed him? Research, huh? For how long? Excuse me? How long would we be in quarantine? According to most doctors, 2 weeks is the standard quarantine period for symptoms to appear. I'll agree under one condition. What's that? I bet that I can convince you that it will work. What? I like a challenge, and you just told me that in a socially distanced time, most couples won't be able to make it. I bet I can convince you that it can. I bet I can convince you that it can. Lexi's eyes widened. Well, if Charming was making bets, she'd ventured to say that the heat had engulfed her and his words would be enough to fry an egg on the pavement, just like the hot Arizona sun. How? She leaned forward, staring into his dark eyes, which sparkled with a combination of mischief, humor, and conviction. He was sure of himself and his beliefs, and that made him even more damn sexy. Not that she cared about his response. She would happily sit back and enjoy any of his attempts at convincing her that this would work. Yes, she'd take this bet any day, but she believed that it would take more than just a standard dinner and movie date, right? Oh, the writer is not the only one who can be creative. So he paused. Do we agree? Yes. Oh, he wanted to be created. A delicious set of goosebumps paraded up her arms and tingles zing down her back. She had some ideas. Handcuffs and restraints, a body search and punishment sounded great. But again, that would involve touching, which for 2 weeks would be a no-go. And now, his voice trailed off as he lifted his beer for another gulp, and he swallowed. A type of guarded hopefulness danced in his gaze, like he'd just come to some sort of conclusion about something. But he wasn't sure about Lexi's response. Why don't you just stay here? He cleared his throat and clarified. I have a guest bedroom. What? We've already been exposed, and your son is in isolation at your house. You'd be right near him, but this will be a way we won't expose anyone else. He leaned forward, the muscles in his arms bulged, creating a yummy image for Lexi to salivate over as he crossed them on the table in front of her. Since I'm going to take off the next 2 weeks, I'll need something to do, Jack shrugged. I like to keep busy, and it would be a great time to work on that story. Wait, what? Did Charming just offer her a chance to stay in his house? 1,000 excuses just pushed their way into her head and clamored for dominance. What about the coronavirus? What about Sam? What about the fact that this might be a lot more than she bargained for? Even if it was her idea in the first place. If only Lexi could decide so quickly and not debate it in her head for days or even weeks. No, I couldn't. Lexi shook her head. Maybe his helpful cop routine was normal for him. She looked at Major, now lying underneath Charming's feet. Maybe he regularly took in people and animals that needed help, like he brought Major home when he needed a place to live. Or maybe just taking a woman home was normal for him. Maybe he just felt sorry for her. Do you want to take a chance and expose your son to the virus? We're going to be working together anyways. Lexi's chest tightened, getting defensive. Of course, she didn't want to expose her son to the virus, but he made it sound, again, so simple, and like he had plenty of experience convincing others of his ideas. No, I definitely don't want to expose him, she said. Charming did make a good point. How often did she have the luxury of writing about someone that had the subject right there at her beck and call for follow-up questions? And she was probably going to have a lot of them. Thanks, Lexi mumbled, excitement but a bit of hesitancy swimming in her mind. She wondered which fear would pull her under the surface more, her doubt of writing those articles with no concrete ideas, or working with Jax on them.
That was awesome.
Good job
Thank you.
reading and feedback for Chrissy.
I love this, and I feel like I didn't do she does such a great Lexi that I wasn't the Lexi, that it was the understudy. So I hope I did
You
justice.
did great.
I love this. I actually love being able to see this story in addition to read it, because it's just the way she has the italics and everything. It's fantastic. So I love your writing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that dialogue is sprinkled throughout and it really super works. Okay, what else, Maria and Nick?
No, I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I want to hear more, as always.
Yeah, so the plot's moving along, the pacing's there, the tension's there, right?
I'm definitely intrigued by this premise being set up. It's got me hooked now.
Got you hooked? Yeah.
Now you know how this plays out.
I'm enjoying how you're taking your Chrissy internal processing about writing this story and putting it into Lexi.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very realistic. It's very relatable in that sense. Anybody reading this is going to be like, oh yeah, that's what it's like, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and then you're setting up this situation in a manner like I wondered how you were going to do it, or like what it was going to look like, but man, did you hit upon the right idea. And then um, the one question towards the very end was, Jack says something like, do you want to expose Sam? And does Lexi answer of course or of course not? Don, that last paragraph, or
Yeah, hold on. It's
Of course.
do you want to expose Sam? Okay. Oh, do you want to take a chance and expose your son to the virus? No, I definitely want to expose him, she said, but there's some dialogue in there. Do you
I
want to take a chance and
do you
expose
want to,
your son to the virus? We're going to be working together anyways. Lexi's chest tightened, getting defensive. Of course, she didn't want to expose her son to the virus, but he made it sound, again, so simple, like he had plenty of experience convincing others of his ideas. No, I definitely don't want to expose him, she said.
okay, I thought I heard an of course in there
Oh,
instead.
it is. It's of course, comma, she didn't want to expose her son to the virus, but he made
Okay,
it sound, again, so simple.
okay, of course, comma, she didn't want to. Got it. Okay, all right, because when you were reading, what I heard was of course, and then it's like, wait a minute, that didn't make
Oh,
sense.
that's probably in my voice inflection there, so sorry
That-
about
That's okay. That's okay. But it's like if the dialogue is, of course, comma, she didn't want to. Like, I got it. I got it.
Yeah, the punctuation is correct there.
Okay, perfect. That was but see what a difference that makes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But and then you know what? Did anyone else catch Romancing the Stone? I love your allusion to that. That's
Oh,
right. That's the
one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Explain it to me because I was like, that's a great idea for a story, and she's like,
I know. I was like, I wish I came up with that one.
And the way you used it is very clever because I don't think you'll be breaking any copyright laws.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to do.
No, and it's clever. It's like a little tongue in cheek. So that totally works. The quarantine romance, loved it. Oh yeah, and then the paraded and the zings at the end, like just really great description. So you got it all going on. And then how many glasses of wine is this girl having? That's like,
Need wine.
it was like 4 times she was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the whole question that she hit her head, which I'll still have to go back because I had no idea that I was going to take the story in this direction when I wrote that way back then. So, but yeah.
Right. So you're doing it.
Mm.
Celebrations. Right? Yeah. Chrissy, how is that for you hearing Dawn read your story?
Good. It's kind of funny because there's a little bit of separation for me too. Like, I'm like, who wrote that? Oh, it was me. It's like, because it sounds a little different, you know, when you hear it from someone else. But at the same time, you're like, oh, wow, I forgot I said that. Like, sometimes you forget, you know, what you wrote and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I did write that. So, yeah, it's cool. I like hearing someone else read it, though.
Right. Well, and Maria and Nick, if you want to have that experience yourselves, then feel free to share your writing for next week. Email it to each other, you know, and you've got emails from my sending you the group emails,
Yes.
right? So if you would like to have that experience yourself, to hear, to feel what that feels like, but to hear it in somebody else, you know, that's a way to do it. So. All right, my friends. Well, we are a little bit over time, not by much. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Actually, let's get your goals set up, I think, is the only other thing. Great job, though, right? Okay, so yes, are there any changes to your goals for what you will do by next Monday?
And it gave me chills.
No.
I'm going to keep mine the same.
Yep.
Same, same?
Yeah.
Okay, same. All right, great. Then just, you know what? Promise me that you'll always remember you are braver than you believe. You're stronger than you seem. You're smarter than you think. I want you to own the smarter than you think piece. And you are loved more than you know. So, any other comments, questions, concerns? Otherwise, we're calling it a wrap.
Good.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Right,
Good luck writing.
Yes.
Great week.
Alrighty.
I'm
Yeah.
Can you
Sunday.
make sure we get the stuff to tune in tomorrow, whether you post a Facebook link or whatever, so that we can tune in to the live reading for you, Denise?
Yes, I will
Okay.
send you the link. So I'll send you the link. Otherwise, if you want to just, and even if I don't send you the link, go to Amazon and Google, it's not Google, go to Amazon and search for either COVID-19 pandemic, or the name of the book is The Great Pause. I'll put it in chat.
All right.
Okay,
Awesome.
so it's The Great Pause, Blessings and Wisdom from COVID-19. And my story is number 4 in the book.
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, not that I don't think, that doesn't mean, it's just how she structured the book. It's not like any big deal, but it's a big deal because it's published. So,
I know. It's so exciting to see.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us too.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So, and I don't want to, can I have 4 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, now 3 minutes. So the deal is, it's a pay to play. So I paid this editor under $200 to be part of this book project. She collected the 24 authors. I'm one of the 24. And so she's taken care of the graphic design, the editing. Then she edited herself. Any coaching, because some writers, some people have never written before. Some people needed more support to get their stuff written. I sent mine in the first time, and she's like, "Your stuff's great," but it still needed cleanup because, again, Dawn, you said you edited 16 times. I edited, and there was still stuff. So, like, editing, you want to keep going back through it, and then. She's the one that spent the time to work with Amazon. She had to figure out the drop shipments. If there's any sales tax, she'll pay it on Connecticut. Because we're in New Hampshire, as long as I do not have a physical office, I'll tell you this for tax purposes, this is a good one to file under in your belts, is I don't have a physical office in other states, so therefore I do not have to charge people in the US sales tax. If I lived in Massachusetts, it would be a different story, right? So I'll tell you that. So, and then royalty-wise, the editor will collect the royalties on Amazon. And 50% will be donated to a charity. So the team, the author community is deciding which charity will be the one, 50%. If there's enough royalties from that, then Liz said that she would consider paying the authors a royalty. So there is the potential for royalty, but really the pay to play is visibility, getting my name out there, being on podcasts, brand recognition. It's a fancy way to have a business card.
Yeah.
So that's
wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So 2 minutes to spare. Have a great week. Happy writing. Thank you all.
Yeah.
I so appreciate it.
Same.
All right.
Good job.
And then Dawn, hang on the line and we'll get your appointment scheduled.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Maria, were you my other bonus?
Yes.
Okay, and we need to schedule you, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that tomorrow or something.
Okay.
All right, you got it.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.